Daisy Ridley seemingly defends Star Wars fans in a mainstream media interview. We will discuss that right here on Studio Jake. Before I dive into the topic, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I am your host, Jacob Airy, and I love hearing from you. You'll see me sparring with haters in the comments section, but also complimenting my wonderful fans who are watching. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. So basically, there has been this consensus with people who don't like the Disney, Star Wars, anything, including myself. Although I don't hate everything, I like Star Wars Visions, the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, the first season of Andor, certainly the final season of the Clone Wars. But overall, Disney Star Wars has been an abject failure in regards to how they handle things. And fans like myself have openly criticized Disney's handling of the science fiction franchise created by the genius George Lucas. And I said genius, and I'm not taking it back. The prequels rock. Fight me. All right. So, anyway, one of the characters, Ray Palpatine, played by Daisy Ridley, has been a constant debate. Not Daisy Ridley herself, but the character of Ray. She seems OP. She is incredibly adorned with plot armor, and let's just be real, she's a Mary Sue. And everything that most characters had to work for, she gets instantly because of plot. And also, let's be real again, she is Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, who took over after she backstabbed George Lucas. She is the one who is running everything. She created Ray Palpatine to be her self-insert character. But that's just how it is. She does this in all the franchises. She did it in Willow, and she did it in the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is what she does. She gets a British actress who somewhat resembles her, makes her this perfect person with no flaws other than she cares too much, and just inserts her into the story. And this is how Kathleen Kennedy sees herself. Now, one of the things that I have seen consistency outside of a few fringe people, that we like Daisy Ridley as an actress. We just didn't like the writing or the portrayal of Rey. And I have seen Daisy Ridley act outside of Star Wars, and she is a very competent and very talented actress. No shade thrown her way. In fact, I even said she should play Carol Danvers before they announced Brie Larson or Batgirl. I think I had her on my Batgirl list. Anyway, so no shade against Daisy Ridley, but let's be real. Again, I said that 3 times. Sorry about that. Ray Palpatine is a bad character. She is poorly written, and fans have a right to complain about poorly written characters. It's just a fact. That's how it is, and it's not any form of bigotry, whatever ist you want to attach to it. It's not true. Now, I'm not saying there aren't weirdos on the internet. They've got some cartoon character as their profile picture. They're anonymous trolls. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm sure those people out there who, just were never told no by mommy and daddy. Yes, they're out there and they do say horrible things, but they're not the majority of the fans or even the fandom menace. Now, with this in mind, the mainstream media, the corporate press, has been all on board in backing those claims that the fans are just a bunch of istophobes who don't like Rey because she's a strong, powerful woman. And again, they're backing this false narrative. However, Daisy Ridley, in an interview promoting a non-Star Wars film, actually kind of went to bat for fans and said, "Hey, listen, I think this is overblown." So I'm going to read you her comments, and I'm going to give you my my assessment of it. So this is from an Bounding into Comics, but obviously they're commenting on and writing about Daisy Ridley's appearance on the NBC Today Show. So therein, after sharing her excitement towards being asked to reprise her role as Rey, Ridley was pressed by host Dylan Dreyer for her thoughts on the fact that, speaking of Charmine, who's going to be the director of Rey's spin-off movie, there are some of the, I would say, extreme Star Wars fans who have made this a conversation on the internet about how they don't want a female director. Liar. Which Dreyer opined seems bizarre because episodes of The Mandalorian were directed by females. Bingo. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has been overseeing all this. That's not a positive. In turn, Ridley asserted, I think my take is things get blown out of proportions, and the interaction that I've had with people have been nothing but wonderful and supportive. And honestly, the day that we announced that I was coming back at Star Wars Celebration last year, you cannot imagine the joy and goodwill in that room. I've only ever been embraced, and I think we're going to make a great film for people. And one thing that Bounding in the Comics has noted, which I was not unaware until I read this article, was this is not the first time Ridley has defended the fans. So good for her. This is really great because you want to see, a lot of times you see actors who are involved in these properties double down. Now, that's not true of people like Chris Pratt or Keanu Reeves. You know, they tend to defend the fans very well, and Daisy Ridley appears to be one of these celebrities. Good for her. That only makes me want to support her more and hope that she gets better writing. Now, this is true. What Daisy Ridley is saying is true. Most actresses, like say Kelly Tran, who played Tico in The Last Jedi, you know, the awful identity politics, eat the rich Star Wars film that, you know, destroyed Luke Skywalker and turned him into Jake Skywalker. Though that film was terrible, and Kelly Marie Tran was attacked online by just like a handful of trolls, but they blew it all out of proportion. Oh, she's leaving social media, blah, blah, blah. You know, okay, whatever. But if you notice, and this is something Midnight's Edge points out in one of their videos, is that, well, Rey is really made to look beautiful. And then with Tico, they go out of their way to make her look frumpy. And if you see Kelly Marie Tran, she's not a frumpy person. She is very lovely. And so it's really weird that juxtaposition of how the woke Disney board and the woke Lucasfilm writers room, how they want to do that, right? So it's okay to make one character look a certain way, but not another. And I really think that Daisy Ridley's comments reopens this debate, because I've even seen normies who, like, maybe they like Star Wars as a film, but they're not into the fandom, like say I am, right? I read the novels, I played the video games, I can name facts about the Star Wars universe that's not in evidence in the six original films. I can do all that. But, you know, someone who just might have a passing knowledge of Star Wars, they might go, they might disagree with me, and they might say, no, I hate the fans. And I've seen this before on Twitter. They'll say that, they'll be like, oh yes, I've seen the movies, but I have to say Star Wars fans are the worst fans. I've heard this about My Hero Academia fans as well. There's like this jarring thing that because you're passionate about something, that means that your fan base is horrible. And I think that is a mistake, because everyone is passionate about something. I once got into a debate with Andrew Klavan, yes, the host of the Andrew Klavan Show. I used to actually help get guests for his podcast at one time, believe it or not. And he and I one time had this debate because I came to work one day wearing a Batman shirt. It was Casual Friday, and he made a comment about it. And he was saying, oh, you know, my problem with sort of these pop culture things is their own, they're all blown out of proportion. And I said something, I named a classical song. I think it was a Mozart song. And I said, how many versions of that song do you have on your playlist? And I said 7, and he didn't respond. And I said, see, everyone is a fan of something, but because something is considered highbrow, it's okay for those people to be passionate about that, whether it could be Shakespeare or Brahms or Bach or whatever. They can be passionate about it, and they can correct you on the history. But the minute it's something that is more considered pop culture and lowbrow, you're passionate about it, and you're just a crazy fanboy, right? I've heard this over and over again. And please note, I am not saying highbrow classical art is in any way comparable to pop culture. I think some things related to pop culture are, certainly, but I'm not saying that they're not saying they're the same realm, but this idea that because you're passionate about something classical versus something considered more modern or in the pop culture sphere, I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's totally fine to be passionate about whatever you like. Go for it. Have fun. Have a good time. And don't drown out those voices. And I think that Daisy Ridley, I don't think she meant all that backstory, but I think just the fact that she recognizes, hey, this is a small faction of people, mostly non trolls. It's not actually representative of the fans. I think that that opens that can of worms, and good for her for standing up for it. And I do wish her well. I mean that very sincerely. I think she's a good actress. I just think she got bad writing in The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker because they don't know how to do Star Wars anymore at Lucasfilm. So I do hope that, who knows, I don't think her upcoming film is going to be good, not because of her, but because of the directors and the writers behind it. I think they just fired one of the screenwriters, so the movie's been delayed, and that's when the Mandalorian and Grogu film got moved up, and I'm curious to see how that one's going to play out. But I just don't think with the current crop of executives at Lucasfilm, and certainly with the woke DEI identity politics of Disney, that it's going to change and that it's going to just be more of the same.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die